Hey there guys, welcome to the meat shop. Thanks for clicking on. Today we're making one of my personal favorites, the Italian Mozza Smoky. It's full of flavor, got the big long stringy mozzarella bits of cheese in there. You're gonna love it. I'm gonna share the process, the recipe and all that down below. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. We'll make the Italian Mozza Smoky. Okay guys, let's get into it. The Italian mozzarella smoky. I made this recipe up and I'm really happy with it. It's got lots of flavor. I kind of like the Italian flavored stuff. It's not kind of typically something you'd put on a bun with ketchup and mustard, but you guys make it for yourself at home and it would be wicked good in pastas and stuff like that. But I just eat them straight up because they're loaded with flavor. Part of the flavor is the pork and the beef you put in there. I pointed those in the wrong order. This is the beef, that's the pork. They're both 80-20 and they're both made from trim. So that means they're 80% lean, 20% fat. And they're both made from trim. So when we're squaring cuts up and stuff in the meat shop off roasts and things like that, it gets set aside and ground into this 80-20 mixture of pork and beef. The first grind, we do a coarse grind and then we end on a fine grind, which is 3 millimeters or 1/8 of an inch. And I obviously did that ahead of time, so you guys didn't have to watch me do the grinding, but you guys could do that yourselves or buy it from the meat shop or the grocery store or the butcher shop ahead of time. They could do that for you. You could do this guy with, I've done it with straight beef before, I've done it with straight pork before, but I would say it definitely needs a little bit of beef in it. Or maybe you could sub it out if you don't like beef, you could use venison. But it definitely needs a little bit all beef or a little bit at least. You'll need a sausage stuff or a stuffing horn for your grinder attachment. These guys are going to go into 29 32 millimeter natural casings and then into the smokehouse where we're going to take them through a drying, smoking, and cooking cycle. So it's going to be a fully cooked sausage. There's no history on it really. It's kind of, I wanted to make a pizza into a sausage. So this is kind of the recipe that I came up with. And that recipe is salt at 15 grams per kilogram, pepper 3 grams per kilogram, garlic 4.5 grams per kilogram, chili flakes 2 grams per kilogram, anise, which is a little, I used anise seeds, little seeds. They kind of find they're more aromatic and you bite them, you get like a real punch of flavor in there. And that's kind of what you find in pepperoni, is the signature flavor is kind of anise. And that's what we also use here at 0.5 gram per kilogram, paprika 1.5 grams per kilogram, oregano 1 gram per kilogram, fennel seeds. I use fennel seeds for the same reason I use anise seeds. You bite into them, you get that big flavor punch. 1 gram per kilogram. You can substitute and use ground, or you can toast the seeds if you want to do that. It really deepens the flavor when you toast seeds. Fennel 1 gram per kilogram. Sugar 3 grams per kilogram. That's white sugar. Cure number 1. Because we're going to take it through a smoke process, which means it's going to sit at a danger temperature. So you need to have cure in there that inhibits bacteria growth for that. 3 grams per kilogram of cure number 1. Sodium erythorbate, which is a cure accelerator, because I'm going to stick these straight in the smokehouse. So it speeds up that curing process by making the meat block just a little bit more acidic, allowing the curing reaction to take place. I don't know why I did this. The curing reaction to take place. It definitely cures. Binder, I'm using soy protein as a binder. There's lots of binder options if you watch my how to make a sausage recipe video. It goes into depth explaining those. And then we use ice or water at 10%. So that is 100 milliliters per kilogram. Basically, I use that. It helps distribute the spices. And when you're cooking in the smokehouse, during the cooking process, some of your moisture is going to evaporate. So if you didn't have that little bit extra water, it would evaporate from the natural water that you find in the meat, and your final product would be a little bit dry. So we put it on just enough that it replaces what evaporates. Then I have some mozzarella here I've cubed up. I just cubed this up small enough that it's going to fit through the sausage horn. You can run this through your grinder on a, like I would, in previous videos, I've done the fine grind on this stuff, switch the plate out on the grinder to the coarsest grinder plate I had, or whatever size you want your cheese, keeping in mind you always want to keep the cheese smaller than the stuffing horn, and ran it through with the meat again. And then you get really good distribution of the cheese. You have cheese flavor in every bite. But since this is the mozzarella piece, I want to find big chunks in the smokies. So when you bite into them, they're stringy. That's what we're shooting for. That's the sound effect mozzarella makes, I guess. So I just cubed them up. We're using the mozzarella, and this is kind of the base number I use for all my sausages is 130 grams of cheese per kilogram of meat. I use that in all my sausages, cheese smokies, jalapeno cheese smokies, the Italian Mozza, the bacon egger. I think I have videos for some of those. 130 grams of cheese per kilogram of meat. And then finally, tomato paste. It's going to make it taste like the pizza part of it at 30 grams per kilogram. I have a 2.5 kilogram batch here, 1.25 kilograms of beef, 1.25 kilograms of pork. So that's about 2.5 pounds, just a little over 2.5 pounds, just over 5 pounds for a final batch size. I've mixed all the spices up ahead of time here. You can see the oregano and the chili flakes and the fennel seeds and the anise seeds. It's just a wicked combination. Oh yeah. And I'm gonna add this onto my sausage block, weigh out the water, weigh out the tomato paste, and mix it up till I get enough protein extraction. I'll just weigh that stuff out ahead of time. You don't have to watch me because it's boring. Okay guys, so I got my water and tomato paste measured out. I should mention too, I got the sausage casing soaking right now because that's going to help us down the road. I'll just blend my pork and beef up a little bit here. May as well add my spices while I'm doing that. You can add your water and stuff to your spices and then add it if you want. It doesn't really make a difference. You just want to make sure you get all the spice out of your bowl you measure them in, and make sure that they get evenly distributed into your sausage. You don't want, you know, a ball of garlic and the ball of plain Jane uncured meat. So it's important that you get all this spice distributed all the way through. And that smells really good already. Add my tomato paste and water mix. Should get all that tomato paste in there for flavor. And then I'll add the cheese right at the very end because I don't want to smear the cheese. For this one, like sometimes you do want to smear the cheese. Like you can get grated cheese and add it if you want that cheese flavor to go all the way through. I kind of do that with the bacon egger sausage if you watch that video. But with this one, I want distinct cheese pockets, so I'm going to add them in at the end. If you wanted a little bit smaller cheese pockets, you could run them through your grinder on the coarsest plate you have. But I'm just going to mix this, guys, here till I get enough protein extraction. You guys have probably seen me do that before. I'll show you what that looks like if you haven't, and then we will add the mozzarella and stuff them. Smell right now, guys, smells awesome. It smells like a pizza. Okay, guys, I've been mixing away for a minute or two here. See how that sticks to your hand? That's protein extraction. That's important because that helps keep that water that we added in the sausage. It'll give your sausage a snap crisp, keeps it from crumbling, helps keep the fat from rendering out whilst cooking. And it's smelling real good. And like I said, right at the end here, guys, just add my mozzarella in. My little cubes, and I try and get them nice and distributed because you want a mozzarella cube in every single bite. And like I said, I use 130 grams per kilogram of cheese, and that's kind of the base number. It gets you some cheese in every bite, basically. But I do have customers that we do 250 grams of cheese per kilogram. It's really, really cheesy, but that's what they like. More than that, though, you guys start to run into texture issues because the cheese just wants to melt in the cooking process. And that's the other thing. When you're sausage making, you don't have to buy the highest end cheeses because, well, with mozzarella is a little different because it's a really stringy cheese. But for making cheddar and stuff like that, and this is just kind of a cheaper mozzarella, Some of the other cheeses will just cook out. So if you buy the cheap cheese, it doesn't cook out. It just stays in there. It's a nice cheese pocket for you. But anyways, guys, I have that mozzarella distributed roughly evenly into this meat block here, and I'll show you that. There we go, guys. How's that looking? You can see a little bit of chili flakes. Where are they at here? And stuff in there. Little mozzarella cubes in every bite. So I'll get this stuffed into the sausage stuffer. Okay, guys, I got the sausage stuffer filled up here. One thing I always forget to mention, because I've made these all before, is I like the flavors. I know what they're going to taste like, but it might not be just right for you guys. So take a little ball and fry it up on the barbecue or in the frying pan before you stuff them into these sausage casings, because it's your last chance to add or remove flavors. If you want more cheese or whatever, that's your chance to do it before it gets into the sausage casing. So what I do, like I said, I started pre-soaking these right before the video started. You get 2 fingers in there, and you just get some water into the sausage casing. See a little bit of water there, and that's going to flush out the salt, a little water on the horn, as you apply this sausage casing onto the stuffing horn. The reason I let a little bit off the end, some guys tie theirs shut. I don't really find it necessary. As that sausage cooks, this is just going to dry up and you're not going to lose any sausage out of it. But I just let the first little bit come out. You guys can see it there. And then I pinch, and see, now it's not coming out the end of the sausage casing. And you can see those big chunks of mozzarella. Kind of want to take your time when you got chunks this big, because that piece of cheese will fill the whole horn and you'll have a little bit of an air pocket behind. So if you go slow, the sausage will creep in right behind it and you'll have a full sausage casing. You won't run into any air pockets. If you have air building up on the horn, just use the tip of your thumb, press down on the horn until you break a small hole in, and that will allow the air to escape from your sausage casing. There we go, guys. This is looking good, smelling good. You guys are gonna love this one, I know. When it comes out of the smokehouse, I'll cut some for you. All right, there's the end of it. Okay, we'll link these up to get them ready for the smokehouse to go on the smoke sticks. I know I got this little bit of extra stuff, and I sometimes hear guys like, how do you know much sausage casing to take out per kilogram of pound? And the answer to that is, per kilogram or pound, sorry, I don't even do that calculation. You just take the whole bundle of sausage casings, soak them in the water before you want to get started. And now that I'm done, I've got enough sausage casings, I obviously have a bunch left over. I'm going to take these out, hang them to dry for about half hour, 45 minutes, and then put them into a bag with at least as much as this weighs with salt. Give it a good couple shots of salt. These are expensive, salt is cheap, and then pop them back in the refrigerator and they'll be good to use again on a later date. So you can use these over and over and over again that way. Now for the linking, guys, if you haven't seen this before, just pick whatever size you want. You know, you could do a ring if you wanted to, but I'm going to do mine into links so that they fit on buns and stuff like that. So basically 5 or 6 inches, pinch 3/4 of the way through here and twist towards yourself 1, 2, 3 times. Skip this one, pinch, but skip. You go another 6 inches and towards yourself 3 times. So basically you're doing every other one 3 times towards yourself. 1, 2, 3. I'll twist those up, guys, and can't wait to get these in the smokehouse because that means we get to eat them sooner. Okay there, guys, we got a bunch linked up. Now I just grab them and I pop them on the smoke sticks, but I'll show you what that looks like when they're loaded up in the smokehouse. All right, guys, we got the Italian Mozzas all rigged up, ready to go in the smokehouse. And you can see I just make sure they're spaced out just enough. Is that focusing for you? There you go. They're spaced out just enough that there's kind of a smoky space in between. This is going to let the smoke circulate and the heat and temperature and whatnot circulate between each smoky, and you're going to have a nice even bloom, and they're all going to get the same smoke, and they're all going to cook at the same time. So I'm going to pop those guys in there. We're going to do 4 steps. Step number 1 is going to be dry. They kind of have a shiny metallic wet look on them right now. I'm just going to turn the fan on, open the dampers up, and we're going to dry the sausage casings off until they're tacky. Then we're going to apply the smoke. So that first step is going to be about an hour. The drying step is going to be about an hour at 150 degrees Fahrenheit to 155. Second step is going to be smoking. We're going to smoke for about an hour and a half with hickory. I like using hickory because it has an antioxidant effect, but you can do whatever you want, whatever you got. Smoke at 155 as well for about an hour and a half, with the dampers half closed so smoke stays in the chamber. Then we're going to bring the temperature up to 185 for cooking, and I'm going to close the dampers a bit so the humidity comes up and we don't lose too much moisture, and these guys are nice and plump and full. We're going to cook at 185 to 190 with a little bit extra humidity till the internal temperature hits 161 Fahrenheit or 72 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to pop those in there now, and I'll show you the finished product. All right, so the little dinger just went off, preset for 161 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 72 degrees Celsius on these Italian Mozza Smokies. Look at that steam coming out of the smokehouse. And look at them guys there. Oh, that good color. Big chunks of mozza in there. Got that probe set inside one of the larger sausages. Now the next step is I'll take my probe out, and we want to pop them into a ice bath or a cold water rinse at the very least, because you want to stop that cooking process so that that fat that's in there doesn't cook out and render out, and these get really wrinkly. You want to keep those juices inside the sausage. So I got a little tray of ice water, pop them in there, make sure they're submerged, and that's going to stop them cooking. You don't want to do this, keep them under there for too long, otherwise they're going to lose that nice smoky flavor and that bloom. Just enough to stop the cooking process, about a minute, and then I'll drain them out of that water and leave them in the cooler to dry, or to cool for at least a couple hours. I guess until they hit 35 or I guess maybe 40 degrees Fahrenheit in the middle, or 5 degrees Celsius, then they're good to go, safe to eat and package. Yeah, but that's just about enough there, guys. Just enough to stop the cooking process. So I'll drain these and then pop them in the cooler overnight, and we'll do a taste test tomorrow. All right, everybody, I'm up and at it early the next morning here to show you guys the Italian Mozza Smokies. See that nice bloom color came back in. Looks real good. They don't have too much wrinkles. I'll bring it in a little closer for you guys to see. There we go. So we got our Italian Mozza Smokies. Just a little bit of wrinkle on the outside. Got that nice color, comes back overnight. And that's awesome because now we're going to have all that tasty flavor on the inside. All right. Now, guys, it's simple. You just cut between all the links that we twisted the other day, and you'll have yourself some Italian mozza, some pizza sausages. Let's just cut into a couple here and see. Hit any mozza. Oh yeah, look at that. Pieces of sausage, big chunks of mozza in there. And if that was coming off the barbecue hot or whatever, nice big stringy pieces. Little bits of fennel and anise in there. That nice kind of red color from the paprika. Now, let's try a bite. These are so good, guys. I hope you give them a try. I hope you make them at home because they are delicious. They'd be wicked on pizzas. Heated up just by themselves. But anyways, guys, I'm just going to continue carrying on, cut between all the links, and I'll package these up. But thanks for tuning in. I hope you make it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you later with more sausage videos.